Hello and welcome to a new episode of 4 Minutes of History, Art and Culture in Vienna with your virtual city guide, Akim Ferrandina-Gouriou. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do this now. If you will like this episode, please leave me a thumb up and write me some comments. And if you want to support us, you can do this by booking some tours or with Patreon. All the information you can find in the description and in the first comment. Today I'll talk to you about the Renaissance. It is of course impossible to talk about this topic in just 4 minutes, so I'll try to give you a bit of an idea what this era was by talking about paintings, by talking about inventions and discoveries, and what for me Renaissance means. First of all, the term is from the Italian term Rinascimento, rinascita, which means rebirth. And this term describes an era, a cultural and artistical era from the 14th to the 16th century in Europe, depending on where you were living earlier or later. And it's Rinascimento, rebirth. Why that? Because the Italians wanted to go back to the era, to the glorious era of the ancient Romans, of the ancient Greeks. So in this time a lot of documents from these times were discovered, poetry for example from this time, statues and so on and so on, and artists, thinkers, philosophers and painters were studying these documents, and so through the literature first, then we go forward to the architecture, to the sculpture, and then we end with paintings. It's all of this. So Renaissance is for example Giotto, who is considered as the pioneer of this era. It is Jan van Eyck who perfected the oil painting. It is the time of Brunelleschi, who discovered the rules of perspective, rules we are maybe using still nowadays for the building of video games. It is the time of Leonardo da Vinci with his visionary ideas seemed to be taken from the future. It is the time of Raphael, who shows us a loving mother in the nature. It is the time of Albrecht Dürer, who shows us a rabbit, a hare in nature in a photorealistic representation, and who shows us the first self-portrait in history. It is the time of Michelangelo, who is able to turn stone into life. It is the time of Bruegel, who shows us the first full-scale representation of winter in history. And it is the time of Titian, who is a master by using colors and pigments. All of this is Renaissance. It is the time of Gutenberg and the invention of printing press by using movable types. It is the time of Christopher Columbus and the discovery of America. It is the time of Copernicus and the heliocentric view of the world. And it is the time of Martin Luther and the Reformation, who brought us to the end of the Renaissance and eventually to the Baroque era. All of this is Renaissance. This is the power we have all in us, all day, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it is all the time here. Now, why are we shooting this episode here, full in the nature and not in front of a museum where you can see some of these paintings from these times? Because exactly here in nature we have every time the rebirth. So this leaves turns into earth and this turns back into a tree, and exactly from here, from the nature, the stones were taken for all the churches, the pigments, the colors for the paintings were taken, and the wood was taken for the frames. And here in the nature are we humans, maybe like the Holy Virgin in the meadow from Raphael, who's looking at the hair of Albrecht Dürer hopping by. So thank you very much. I hope you liked this episode, and we see us then next week for the next episode of 4 Minutes of History, Art and Culture. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Excuse me, we reshoot, but it's okay, we can do this. To talk about this, it's of course impossible to talk about this. I meant we have to restart now. Okay?